stop wasting time and do these steps to play great golf with very little effort. What we're talking about today is some setup changes with all clubs, and I'll talk you through a variety of clubs that make you play better. So the biggest fault we see with golfers is a plane and a path that would come across the golf ball. That plagues probably 90% of golfers, maybe even higher number than that. But let's put it at 90%. So what I've come up with today is a way of setting up to the golf ball that changes that, and you can do it with all clubs. So I'm going to show it to you with a wedge, a 7-iron, a 4-iron, and a driver. And basically the way we're going to talk about it is just slight subtle adaptations with every single club, just like you move your ball position. So with a wedge, we normally set up to the ball in the center of the stance. What I'm going to ask you to do is still keep it in the center of the stance, but have the golf club to be about 3 inches behind the golf ball. What this does is encourages the shoulders and hips just to close a fraction. Again, most golfers will set up with the shoulders and forearms more open. So it just encourages us to have that shoulders in a slightly more closed position. In turn, if the eyes go a little bit with it too, and look at it as a more right-facing line, so a line that goes to the right of the target, it's also going to encourage us to hit from the inside. So the setup is going to create a more in-to-out path. And when we go through different clubs, the amount we set up with the club behind the golf ball is going to vary. Now, the big reason for that is because we want to hit down on the golf ball with iron shots, with fairway wood shots, not with the driver. So the amount we're going to set with the club behind the ball is going to vary to still try and get an optimal angle of approach to get the low point in the right spot, but with a more correct path and plane. So, wedge, ball position in the middle, move the club from there about 3 inches back, get yourself comfortable, and then from there make your swing. Nothing else changes, we just let the setup naturally change how we move. Let's go through the 7-iron. So with the 7-iron, I'd still have the ball position in the center, okay? What we're going to do now with the start position, instead of it being 3 inches, we're going to go 5. Again, set up normal, move back to 5 inches, get comfortable, and from there, make your normal swing. If you do struggle to get the club hitting the ground in the right spot and it becomes too early, so fat shots, heavy shots and thin shots, then by all means you can have it less than 5 inches. But if you are a slicer or a fade of the ball, I would encourage this without doubt and stick with it for a bit. And it'll slowly start to change your plane and path. If it doesn't and the contact still stays really naff, then I would go start back here, keep your body shape there, and then move the club back and potentially put a little bit more pressure on the lead foot. Just probably with the 7-iron and wedge. As we get to the longer irons, then I wouldn't do that. But with the shorter irons, you could put a bit more pressure on the lead foot and go through the process of going back and then readjusting back to the normal position. So the 4-iron, ball position now would be in between centre and left heel for me, kind of in that 1/3 forward position. Now I'm going to move this golf club back about 10 inches. So the club head is probably in the same position it was for the 7-iron, but obviously the ball position is more forward. And again, I'm feeling a little closed in my setup, and then I'm going to swing from that position. A little draw down the middle of. Now this tip probably works the best with the driver, and I've done this tip a few times on my channel here. But for me, it's something that all of us should do when we're trying to drive the ball better. Now with the driver, we want to be hitting up on the ball. The further we move this club head back, the more it encourages us to stay back and let the club ascend through the ball. So it's kind of a no-brainer. Nearly all the golfers I see, and we measure them all with TrackMan in my studio, are hitting down on the ball and across the ball. The kind of average numbers with 10 handicap plus guys will probably be about 4 to 5 degrees cutting across and 3 degrees down. So if we hit 3 degrees up versus 3 degrees down, it's 10 to 15% more distance at about a 95 mile an hour club head speed. So we're looking at very much the average golfers, what they produce, and the slower you swing, kind of the more up on the ball you want to be. So the ball position for the driver would be left heel. Now I want this golf club to be about 20 inches back. So it's just behind the center of my stance. And again, as I move the club back, change the orientation of the shoulders, the forearms, the hips, and we are going to start the swing from there. And a beautiful draw down the right hand side of the fairway. You would have noticed, and again I talk about this a little bit, Jon Rahm did this at Augusta. Obviously, a lot of the holes at Augusta, I talked about that you need to draw the ball. So starting this way helps encourage a more inside path to hit that draw shot. We also need it into square to in path to hit a straight shot. It's the out to inners that are going to hit pulls, slices, low shots, and lose that distance by hitting down. So these tips through the bag are going to encourage you to hit more from the inside without working on your golf swing on the range. The natural changes that we make with our forearms and with our shoulders encourage that inside path, plus a little bit of the optics. When the club goes back there, you start to see a line that goes a bit more to the right, which encourages that path too. Give it a go and stop wasting time practicing and try this for immediate results.